and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say that Alexis Pace and Don Bryan said they regrets that they could not be here this evening. Welcome, everybody. We're looking forward to the next couple of weeks coming up with all of the concerts and festivities before the holidays. So I want to, at this point, just wish everybody a happy holiday this year, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Belsey. Tonight for our student showcase, we have members of our high school business department who would like to share some thoughts with us.
All right, good evening, everybody. How are we? Nice and toasty now. Okay, my name is Kurt Allen. I'm a high school business teacher, and with me tonight I have some of my students from my class and my club. We'll get to the names in a couple of minutes. But we're so thankful that we are here tonight so we can talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing, what we've been up to. And I gotta tell you, I'm super thankful to the Board of Education, Dr. Gallagher, for everybody for approving this kind of class. It's what a great opportunity. I've had a lot of parents that actually want to sign up for this class too. So,
And board members?
Oh, yeah. So, investing has been a passion of mine for many years, and it's one of these things that I always thought about financial literacy and to come up with a way to pass it along to the kids these days to prepare them for the future. There's a lot going on out here. And I got to tell you, these kids are hitting it out of the park. So, not to set the bar too high for their presentation tonight, but I think you're going to like it. So what we're doing with the investing program, we're focusing in on a lot of different things. Not just stocks, not just bonds, but really just educating them about retirement, talking about 401k plans, 403bs, you name it, we're discussing it. And more knowledge that they have, I think they're going to be better prepared financially. What are some of the benefits? We're talking about building real world financial literacy. So you're going to hear tonight, many of these students, they know a lot of the terminology, things that some of you may or may not be familiar with, but it's something that is going to prepare them for their futures. I've even had some feedback, some of my students right now who graduated years ago, they're starting to major in investing. They're going into public accounting, so many different avenues. Okay. Now, the class itself is an elective, which means that it is something that the students have to choose to want to enroll in. And I'm thrilled that it's a half-year class, but we focus in on a lot of different things. There's a lot of hands-on. So it's not simply just something that you're going to learn from a textbook. I'm sorry, I'm talking a little too much. What I want to do right now is I want to bring up one of my students who's done a fantastic job. We have something called the stock market game. And I'm not going to steal his thunder, so I'm going to turn it over to John Weber, who's going to tell you a little bit about what he's learned and what he's done. John?
Thank you, Mr. Allen. My name is John Weber, and I am in Mr. Allen's stock market and investing class. I'm going to be taking advanced investing with him next semester, I should say. So the stock market game is basically this game across, I believe, the nation or world. But the whole point of it is that you're given $100,000 to play with. It's not real money, but it works as if it was real money. And you're able to invest that into various funds, stocks, etc. It's a bit limited, but you are able to invest into a sizable portion of things available on the New York Stock Exchange. So here is my portfolio. As you can see, I'm 98% invested into stocks at 2% in cash. And the reason for that is because when we started this class, we were really focused on our stock portfolio and diversifying our portfolio. So I really wanted to hammer that home when I was playing a stock market game. And I am in a group of 3 people, but I would say most of the trades here were done by me, with the main exception being MRVL down there was Marvell Technologies. That was an incredible trade made by one of my partners, and I've since bought more of them. So this first major increase here came from Stock that I researched into for a company called Diginex, which if you heard anything about them, in October, they ended up rising 400%. So I made quite a bit of money from where I bought them at. And one of the big things that I ended up learning from this, a little learning experience I had, was not to hold out for too long and wait for something to rise even more, because you never know when something could fall. Right after that, it went to 27,000 was my highest value. And then it went from about $41 a share, and it started dropping, and I sold it at 36, not wanting to lose any more. So I still well doubled my profit since I had bought it at around $16 a share. After that, I kind of played around a bit, stayed in the ballpark of around 118,000 value on the portfolio, and right now I'm worth a little over a 14,000 profit. So I'd like to talk about, how did I get to this position? Well, I did a lot of investing into technology companies, which were on the rise. If you take a look, some of them you might recognize. MU is Micron, which is a chip company. Intel Corp is INSEE. AMD does chips and processors, all very strong hitters in the technology companies. And a lot of these stocks ended up making me a lot of money. As you can see, all the ones listed here only had a gain on them. I had, at the time this was taken, only one loss on my whole portfolio, which was only $200 lost. And as you can see here, I am the number 10th team on Long Island right now.
Yeah, that's out of over about 700 teams.
Wow.
So, great accomplishment.
So I would now like to pass it on to the president of the Young Investors Club, Brianna Franco.
Hi, I'm Brianna Franco. I'm president of the Young Investors Society. This is
I'm Thomas Jacoby, and I'm vice president of the Young Investors Society.
I'm Lucian Mafia. I'm the secretary of the Young Investors Society.
The Young Investors Society is open to anyone who enjoys investing or just wants to learn more about financial literacy and investing into various different stocks, securities, bonds, even crypto we learn about too. And students, we all basically collaborate together and we learn about what we find interesting in order to improve our knowledge, and at the end, and our goal is really just to have a fun place where we can invest and learn. I'll bring it to Brianna.
as of right now, we're meeting every other week, but we do have some exciting stuff coming up. Right now, we're really looking forward to the global stock competition, which is similar to the stock market game which John was talking about. Except instead of being just Long Island or New York or America, it's global, so we have the opportunity to compete internationally, which is just going to enhance our investing skills.
And now we're very much looking forward to seeing the opening bell of the stock exchange. If you have ever heard about the opening bell, it is a very prestigious event to attend, and we look forward to that. We plan on going to that in January, as long as there's no IPO or initial public offering, if you're wondering. And then once we go there, we'll learn a lot about how basically the inner workings of the stock market and the stock exchange, and we should really improve our knowledge of investing and the world and the financial world today.
We're also excited about a potential opportunity to attend the Global Youth Investment Summit. So it would be an opportunity for us to not only talk to people in the region or just invest, but talk to actual professionals who do this as their job. We'd be able to network, we'd be able to it would just be a great opportunity over.
Our future goals for the club is to expand our enrollment in the club and to see more people join the club and participate in the club. Along with that, we would like to grow our competition involvement and join other competitions like the global one that we talked about last time, along with community partnerships with places like banks or TD Bank in our area. We'd also like to enhance our digital tools that we're using to look at stocks, like the Bloomberg terminal. And, yeah, that's really.
Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to share just why we think this is so important and why we are so passionate about investing. I'm going to pass this off to Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Board of Education and the public. So as just mentioned, one of the ideas that we've been kicking around the high school for a while is the idea of a Bloomberg Financial Lab. My background before teaching was in debt sales, so fixed income sales to large institutions. So this was sort of ubiquitous. Anybody in finance used the Bloomberg terminal, it still does. And now it's permeated really into the educational space because of the capabilities that it has. And this past May or June, a couple of colleagues and I went to Bloomberg for a symposium for academics. Mr. Harvey was there and he just brought something, he just said something, it's almost like Rich. Bloomberg is AI before there's AI. And what Bloomberg continues to do is just develop and enhance all these algorithms that make it completely user-friendly to people who might not understand what you're doing, what they're exploring. So this is not AI, this is a little thing I put together. What it really is, all right? So it's a cornerstone tool in finance that's used globally, not just finance. It provides economic, political, government, now crypto, commodities, futures, anything you can put your hands on, Bloomberg will investigate. It's a 24-hour financial services system. I'm sure we've all heard of Bloomberg Radio, and we're here on Long Island, Bloomberg Television. Michael Bloomberg is obviously a billionaire. The product sells, and the product is very widespread. It allows access into every single business-related product. So I'll just go to investments, for instance. You've got fixed income, debt, equities, mortgages, interest rates, foreign exchange, commodities, futures, anything that you can pick up that has a QSIP or has an identification tool in the world's municipal bonds, you can run the terminal and you can run myriad of functionalities on it. You can just, if you're not even sure what you're doing, you just hit help out twice and they'll tell you exactly how to achieve what you're looking to do. Extremely impressive. It integrates multimedia content, gives access to premier information, world-renowned journalists as well. So anybody that subscribes to this has access to all of this information. The capabilities, honestly, the capabilities are boundless. It takes finance, financial theory, economic theory, and will really bring it to life. So at the high school level, the terminal will be used to strengthen students' understandings of the dynamics, business operations, global economic systems, anything that's happening that's going to shape the markets, or it could be political turmoil that'll obviously shape markets as well, and run tech skills through that. There's multiple disciplinary support as well, so it's available to look at things in math, science, ESG, sports management, supply chain management, sustainable development, healthcare, any sector that exists in the world, the terminal and Bloomberg supports. Students can learn how to navigate and access anything historical, real-time, forecasted data, what they think might happen, or extrapolate ideas on the terminal. Look into a company's balance sheet, for instance, financial statements, 10Ks, research calls, analyst calls, talk to equity, fixed income holders. They could look at who's long position, short position, contracts. So it could really, really go wide and deep. Why at the high school? We believe that it would have the power to give students more hands-on financial learning. So it's going to prepare students for a lifetime of informed financial decision making, which is now something that New York State has mandated as well, that students are educated in career financial literacy. It aligns with our district commitment to prepare students with 21st century skills and global financial literacy. And it integrates with a lot of our curriculums as well. So for instance, just in the business department, the business classes, IB business management, ESL levels, investing in the stock market, advanced investing, IB economics, accounting, and it could be used, as I said, for other courses as well, once they access the terminal. And I think by bringing the external world and the financial markets into the classroom, it allows for classroom theory to really be a real world practice. And I know it's hard to, without seeing the terminal and running it, it is hard to really appreciate it, but it's transformational. A lot of the schools, a lot of universities, I spoke to a rep today, just to kind of get my arms around how many universities are really using it. You're at around 1,300, he said, and now that's become more and more high schools and secondary schools are doing that because they feel that they want to get the students ready when they're off to college, that they understand how to work the terminal, some of the functionalities, and be more prepared for it. This wasn't really around 20 years ago in colleges and high schools, but it's starting to really take off, especially locally. It gives us performance-based learning opportunities for students, which forces active learning and curriculum. Club benefits, you've got your National Business Honor Society, Young Investors Society, DECA, and it's not to say other clubs couldn't use it if they wanted to, because of the capabilities that it has. As mentioned before, a lot of the public and private colleges and universities have these terminals on campuses, and as I'm going around looking at colleges with my oldest, you just see it everywhere you go. And now CUNY schools are using it, SUNY schools are using it, which I was impressed to see as well. Bloomberg has over 5,000 original news stories daily from 150 news wires and bureaus, which we would have access to across 72 countries. They have a Bloomberg Global Trading Challenge, which is at 42 different countries with over 10,000 students involved in the trading challenge. And they also offer certificate courses to our students. So if students would want to distinguish themselves and take these Bloomberg financial courses, they have one in ESG, Environmental, Social, and Governance. They have a Bloomberg Market Concepts course, and they also have a Bloomberg Finance Fundamentals course that would be available to us. So it's a very impressive system. Some people know, some people don't, but a couple of the local high schools have been kicking the tires on it. Some have definitely done it. And as I said, a lot of local universities and colleges. So I just thought it was a great opportunity to bring it up, and I appreciate the time. That's something I definitely believe in. And I think it would really take our business department and the high school to another level.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Rogers or the students or Ms. Rao?
Yes.
First of all, I always say this, but it's time you guys are the highlight. We love hearing from you, we love hearing your voices, we love hearing the excitement you bring about what you're learning in school. So really, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know you guys are very busy all day, but coming here to explaining this well to us. I was amazed to look at your portfolio, and I'm sure if I had seen the other portfolios, I would also have been just as amazed. My question is, you need a lot of prerequisite knowledge to know how to do research, to know how to do the research, and to know which stocks to invest in. So how do you go about doing that and ensuring the students are comfortable in researching the stocks? Have you guys done any of this more on your own because you're so interested in learning about stocks? Do you research a lot on your own, or do you wait for class? And what other classes do you feel have really helped you in this class of investing? I know that's a lot of questions all at once.
That's okay. I guess I can start it, and maybe some of the students can jump in on this. You're right. At the beginning of the school year, many of the students might come in. I have a mix. So since this is open to grades 9 through 12, I'll have students that have done research on their own or actually been very curious about stocks. A great example is 2 years ago, I had a student who came in, and from day one, he was talking to me about options trading. And I'm looking at him like, oh my God, how do you know all this? He goes, Mr. Allen, I've been doing this since 8th grade watching YouTube.
Okay.
So who knew? I'm just waiting for the TikTok channel to come out with something like this because it's going to happen. But as far as research, it's something that we talk about in class. We talk about not putting all your eggs in one basket. And how are you going to really diversify? What does that mean? What does that mean for your future? And I don't want to speak for everybody here, but go ahead, Thomas.
So I took Mr. Allen's just a stock and market and investing class last year, and I went into the class with some prerequisite knowledge of investing because I was interested in it beforehand. But when you're learning by yourself, even if you learn a lot of things, if you don't have a disciplined schedule, you're not going to learn as much as if you had a teacher. So when I went into Mr. Allen's class, I really focused on stuff that I wouldn't have found interesting or thought to learn about outside of class, like retirement. I never really thought about looking into how 401ks,
Yeah.
like 401ks and different retirement funds, IRAs work. But going into Mr. Allen's class, I realized that everything's connected. Like investing in the stock market, it also connects to IRAs and like the S&P 500. You want to diversify into like ETFs and etc. And Mr. Allen really helped me like get a real foundation and like broaden what I already knew about investing.
That's wonderful. You also mentioned, Bianca, you mentioned the Global Youth Investment Summit, and you said that would really give you a lot of good connections. And I thought that was very clever of you because it will. If you guys, I don't know when it is, I don't know if it's during school, Dr. Gallagher, but when you do investing and financing and you are preparing the students for college and for the real world, she's already telling you, she knows it's part of the relationship making. So if you students can go and if you're still interested in networking, I think you really guide you into what else is out there, what are our opportunities, who's doing what. So I thought that was very good on your part. I have to tell you, listening to you speak, wow, I'm very impressed, Mr. Allen. Thank you so much because you made like a subject that could be boring extremely exciting, and you connected it to their real life world. So I really thank you for that. And I really look forward to hearing more about your investments. Lucian, great job too. And if you hear anything really
No
good.
insider trading. No insider trading tomorrow. Few things. There's no doubt that your group researched Barbell across the street, and it was just a good luck, right?
No, so what happened?
It's one of those impulse buys. You know?
And this bothers me, actually. It's funny you mentioned that. What happened is my teammate did so little research that he thought he was investing in Marvel Studios, who has not been public for like 20 years.
That's great.
But as far as the rest of the stocks that I've traded, to build a bit off of what Thomas said, Mr. Allen's been a great help. But one thing, because, Ms. Conway asked, how do you research these stocks? How do you know what to look into? One thing that I noticed has been really helpful for me and has been where all my winners come from is to kind of go into the subjects and topics as far as businesses are concerned that you are interested in and you know about things in that field. Like a lot of people might have not known about AMD as a company, but I'm really into computer specs and I know AMD is such a big processor and chip maker. Whereas another company, Diginex, was, they were a smaller, also I believe, chip company, I can't remember exactly, that were on the rise, and they signed a deal with, I think it was Intel, who's obviously a huge name. So it was kind of like, go into the fields you're familiar with, invest into businesses you believe in, and that's what has turned me the best results.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you keep up with your top 10 of that group, you're going to have a lot of capital gains today, so be careful. And also importantly, I found it pretty interesting. So a lot of times when a lot of parents who don't pay attention to the district, they're like, oh, how's the schools and stuff? Why don't these the students learn about like balance and checkbooks and all this stuff? Where's the financial literacy? And every time I point them over to the high school, I'm like, hold on, this is a Long Beach school district doing all this financial literacy. They think it's not even existing, and then you come in here and you guys show off like this. You're up there. You're running with the bulls and the bears. It looks like so. It's going to be really impressive. Keep up the good work, and don't go too hard, okay? All right.
Just one more thing I want to add to it. But again, thank you so much for coming here tonight. This is so impressive. I wish I had that little bit of knowledge when I was in high school. I don't even have it now, truth be told. And the other thing that I think is going to be impressive is I know how difficult it is to get into a college as a business major. And I just feel like this is really giving you a foot forward and will help you and assist you when you're applying to colleges if you want to be a business major, because I know how difficult it is not only to get into school as a business major, but even to try to transfer into a business school after you've been accepted to college. So I think that you guys have a very bright future ahead of you. Thanks so much for coming here tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Roach, we don't want to ignore you either. We understand. But the Bloomberg Lab was mentioned with so many important topics to it. I just have a question. You mentioned they would be open to other clubs. So what of the other students who aren't into investing, who aren't into marketing, how could they access the Bloomberg Lab? How will the Bloomberg Lab help them? Or would it?
No, I think it would. Like I said, the amount of things that it has, like there is a lot of information on legal, science, math, algorithms. So if students want to come in and use it, and it should be open after school. As far as I'm concerned, all the time to any clubs that can get in there.
There's research too, right? A lot of
Yeah.
that, research.
It's
A
all-
lot of research?
Yeah.
A lot of research.
Because not everybody is into, investing. You have
Right.
people who are into, so many other topics. So how could, we would like the Bloomberg Lab to be accessible to all.
Absolutely,
So they
yeah.
can learn from it. Because just like Ms. Fossey said, it's such an important skill to have is to know how to invest, know how to use your money properly, to be financially literate.
Right, and I would be, you wouldn't want it to be pigeonholed into, this is just for investing, finance.
ROI.
Because there's a lot more that the terminal and the company offers. So if we could use that for any other space, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention too, there are certifications that are available. We've talked a lot in the past few years about giving students the opportunity to earn micro credentials. And all of those things help them not only to get into college, but to have jobs to help work their way through college, and really put something together that helps them along their career path. And this is another addition to that toolbox.
Well, when Bianca mentioned the networking, I started thinking about internships because it is such a competitive field. So to make your connections now would only be beneficial to you later on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Now, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you'd like to go to Marvell or
Sure, it's
someplace,
on
you're
me.
welcome to go.
Thank
You give snow away in the winter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And now, Mr. DeVito, will give a brief presentation just to kind of set the stage for our upcoming budget.
Thank you. So tonight's session, I'm talking about the business classes and what we have at the high school. We're talking about our preliminary budget for 2026, 27. It's amazing, time goes by so fast. Just at the last board meeting, we were talking about the external audit of the 24, 25 year. We're in 25, 26, and now we're beginning to talk about 26, 27. So always, just working through the different cycles and finishing one, actually operating in another, and planning for the next. So what we have here are categories, and it's the same categories that we talk about in terms of how we break out the budget by subject, right? In terms of employee compensation, equipment, vendor services, which are any services that we purchase from an outside vendor, as opposed to the services we provide to our students from our in-house staff, materials and supplies, the debt service that we have, outstanding principal and interest, employee benefits, and interfund transfers. This is the preliminary budget. Sometimes we'll start talking about this in December, sometimes we wait until January, but this year we're starting in December, but there's limited amount of information that we have because we haven't met with the different directors and principals and all of the different meetings that we have. We'll start convening those shortly, but there are some things we can talk about so that we get a little bit of a head start in the budget process this year. So I'd first like to talk about the employee compensation. The employee compensation is based on our current staff, right? We don't know yet who's retiring, right? That we get that information next month, and then it trickles in throughout the spring in terms of who's going to stay, who's going to leave, in terms of those who are eligible to retire, or any new program staff that we may be wanting to bring on board if we meet with our different schools and departments and talk about the program for next year. So let me just go back to that for a second. You see, just as a starting point, we have about a 2% increase. This is the current year budget. This is what was approved by our community last May for the current year. And this is what we're preliminarily proposing in terms of 26, 27. So about a 2% increase. And we have some contracts that are in existence, so we already know what those rates are gonna be for next year. We just move all of our employees down a step if they're eligible to go down a step. The next is equipment. We have that the same, again, because we haven't had those meetings yet. Vendor services, we kept the same, supplies for the same reasons, right? Because we haven't had all the meetings that we're gonna have over the past couple of months. And that's what that text says. Until we meet with them, when we learn about what their needs are, then we'll be able to update these numbers. In addition, we are waiting to hear from BOCES about what their cost projections are going to be, so that we can add that in, because we have a lot of our students who go to BOCES programs, so we're waiting on that information. But what I would like to talk about is debt service, right? Material supplies and supplies the same thing. So I have a spreadsheet here that I just want to go through. It's really a good way for understanding how we're thinking about our upcoming district-wide capital plan and how it impacts the budget. Let's take a look at 2025, 26 for a moment. That's this column all the way on the right-hand side. So in terms of our debt service, it's broken up into principal and interest, right? They have different categories. You have A, 9711 is the principal, 600 is the principal, 700 object codes are the interest. The A 9711 is from the May 2009 capital plan. The A 9789 is from the 2016 energy performance contract. We did some borrowing for that. And then what's going to be planned out in terms of projects, cash flow, in terms of the financing is the one that was just voted on by the community in October of 2025. So if you take a look here, May 2009 capital plan, this is where you find the line-by-line budget. It's the serial bonds. We had two different borrowings after the community approved that capital plan in May of 2009. We borrowed in 2011, certain sum, and then we borrowed another sum in 2013. So the borrowing from 2011, as you can see here, the difference, about $5 million, is getting fully paid, right? So all of those serial bonds, we had refinanced in the past, but still the maturity date in the current year is the last payment that we're going to make on those serial bonds. I've been talking about these ideas conceptually over the past couple of years and why the new capital plan, this October 2025 capital plan, the timing is right now, right? Because as this debt service drops off, this is what's left to pay from the serial bonds from the 2013 borrowing. It drops down about $5 million. It allows for room for the new debt service for what we're going to need to pay for the project starting in the summer of 2026. So I really wanted that visual for you all to see why I've been saying, since we started talking about this bond, that there's no tax impact. It's the same, right? The principal, the interest that we have, these two categories here, principal and interest, $0 change, 0% change in terms of what we have currently in the current year, 2025, 26, and what's in the preliminary budget for 2026, 27. So let me go back to the detail for a minute. This energy contract, as you see here, we have several more years paying here. That's going to pretty much remain the same in terms of the total amount, and it just flip-flops between, as the years go on, we pay a little bit more in principal, and there's a little bit less that we have to pay in interest. And this shows that, right? 139 drops to 123, and the 1,025,000 goes up to the 1,041,000. That annual payment stays the same over the next several years. It's just a proportion of what's principal and what interest changes. So you see here we have a placeholder of about $5.2 million for the October plan in terms of principal, and about $239,000 for interest. Zero, because we of course have nothing in this year's budget for principal or interest, and it's that shift as those 2011 borrowing paid off in principal and interest. There's room here, and there's no intention of increasing those budget lines. They're going to remain flat. Okay. Our benefits are projected to increase approximately 5% for the 2026-2027 school year based on an offsetting of a couple of different factors that we already have the information for. So we already know about the health insurance increases. We just got the information on the January 2026 health insurance premium increase, and it is a significant increase, mostly over 8% in terms of where the rates are increasing across the board. The ERS employer contribution amount is also an increase, but it's offset by a decrease in the TRS employee contribution rate. So that helps, right? So the fact that TRS employee contribution rate is decreasing for next year, it's offsetting the significant increase in the health insurance premium cost and a slight increase in the ERS amount. And let me just go back to that total for a minute. And this is where we are here, employee benefits, about $1.8 million that we don't need to put in the budget for next year based on the benefits. So our starting point, we're talking about $3.4 million that we're going to need to add into next year's budget. We're just about a 2% budget to budget where we are right now. And that's without having the meetings, but it's also without knowing about retirements that are going to offset some of these costs, where we don't necessarily change the program, but we do achieve some savings in some of those retirements. So this is where we are preliminarily, right? We know we're going to have some increases. We know that our debt service, whatever we end up doing next year, whether it's a short-term borrowing through a bond anticipatory note, what we pay back, we know we have about $5.4 million to use towards those costs, towards that borrowing, and no tax impact. The last slide here just talks about the staff meetings that we're going to have, the board meetings that we will have over the next couple of months to present all of the detail and all of these codes to the board, to the public for comment. And we have our budget adoption on April 14th. So we're about 4 months out. It's a 4-month process of the intense budget development. The budget hearing is the week before the vote. The vote this year is May 19th. And we've officially started our 2026-27 budget cycle. Any questions?
Well, I don't really have questions really. I just really want to thank you because what you do by presenting to us and to the public about the budget starting in December, you really are showing all of us the sequence that you have to follow, the protocols that you are following. You're being completely transparent with where the money is going, where you think the money is going to go, or where you're not sure yet. And I think by doing that, you're really helping to lay a wonderful foundation for our budget year. So, Mr. DeVito, I thank you for that transparency. I know health insurance has always been like that little prickly thing. Are you sure it's the 5% or it could be more? Because I remember one year it was 9%,
Yeah.
and another year it was like 2%. So.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So when I talk about the 5%, that's the total benefits, right? So that's everything in that category, right? So it's about 5%. Employee benefits includes health insurance, includes the retirement, includes all the benefit costs that the district bears. We know the health insurance rates for January, so we know what the first 6 months of 2026-27 are going to be, because that works on a calendar year.
Right.
We just got those rates, so we know what it is for the second half of the year we're in now and the first half of next year. What we don't know is the increase for next January, which is the second 6 months of the next budget year. And, we do our best to make projections. I will tell you that our forecast for the current year is like almost exactly, and it doesn't always happen that way, almost exactly what we budgeted. In terms of just, we hit it right for the current year. But as you know, some years we have a lot extra in that code because maybe we factored in a 9% increase and it was flat, right? So we will talk more about that in terms of, how we want to approach it. Right now, I have a placeholder for that second 6 months of 8.5%, just the health insurance portion of it. We could make an argument that maybe we want to bring that down a little bit, just because of if we want to use a 5-year average, we're still debating it internally about where we want to go, because as you may remember, when we talked about that conceptually last year, the year before, if we had used a 5-year average for our budget for 2 and 3 years ago, we wouldn't have had enough, right? So on the other hand, we don't want to put in too much, and then you have a large surplus at the end just for that code, even though we know if we do have an operating surplus, we put it into our reserve funds. So we have a little bit of a discussion with the board and with the superintendent and the superintendent's cabinet about where exactly we want to be on health insurance. Right now, it's that 8.5% I have as a placeholder for that second 6 months. But I am open to discussion about whether we want to vary off of that or not, whether we want to deviate off of that percentage or not. So we've been talking internally in my office
Right.
about that. And there are pros and cons. I think comfortably, if the board is comfortable with this, I'd like to stick with 8.5% because it's a more conservative number, right? Knowing that if we do have an operating surplus, let's say the rates don't come as high as we think, then we always can use it to put into capital reserve. So we have money for projects in the future or to offset debt service payments. This year, like I said, we came in pretty much flat, just at our target, but that rarely happens. It's usually one way or the other.
Thank you so much,
Yep.
Mr. DeVito.
Thank you.
I just want to also thank you for all the hard work that you do in presenting this to us and to the public. I know for me, you really step by step break it down for us to make it really much easier to understand, as hard as it is for me to understand. You really do walk us through this, and as a beginning, this is a great place to start. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
I hope this is your hardest presentation.
Anybody here from student organization? Nope.
Not yet.
Questions and comments from the public on tonight's agenda only, please? Anthony Verona? Tonight's agenda.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. DeVito. Out of the 85 million, how much, the bond of it was about 85 million, how much have we borrowed already?
We haven't borrowed anything. Nothing.
By the end of this fiscal year, how much do you think we'll have borrowed?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, and it's actually, if you don't mind me just going really quickly through the process.
Yes.
We just had the vote October 28th. We are feverishly preparing plans for the items that we think can get a quick approval at the state education department, so we can begin work this summer. For first and foremost, the playgrounds, right? That's a high priority for us. So I've had already 2 committee meetings, one at East School, one at West School, to discuss items and things that they want in their playgrounds. On December 15th, we have a meeting at the administration building. We have 3 vendors who are going to do presentations to our elementary building representatives, which is going to be whether principal or assistant principal and a parent that's going to listen to all of this, and we're going to make our decisions in terms of what the prototype should look like. We should begin construction, if all goes well, in July, so that those payments are in the next fiscal year. So there's nothing that we have to pay for 25, 26. The placeholders that I showed you for 26, 27 is, let's say, if we borrow and we receive the money, let's say July next fiscal year, we'll probably do short-term borrowing called a bond anticipatory note. Whatever our cash flow needs, it could be 5 million, it could be 7 million. We know we have room to pay 5.4 million with having no tax impact. So we can either pay it all off, short-term borrowing, or we can pay off 5.4 million of it, and maybe we have another million or maybe 2 million that gets rolled over into the future. But it's still great news because we have that capacity to pay for the immediate cost, which would be the first summer. So we're really in a great position. So no borrowing in this fiscal year, no construction in this fiscal year. It's also going to start with the next.
Thank you for that explanation. That makes sense, and that for that was just a placeholder number that we had for. And what's our? If you have an estimate, what's our fund balance right now?
Well, it depends on what you mean by fund balance. If you mean just the unassigned fund balance, we have just shy of 4%. So I think that's about $6.5 million. And that's in our unassigned. In terms of our overall fund balance, which includes all of our designated reserve funds, like the capital reserve fund and the employee benefits, accrued liability reserve fund, there's a workers' comp. I would have to get back to you on what that number is. But we're just shy of the 4% as we close the 2024-25 fiscal year.
All right, thank
Just
you.
shy of 4%.
And my next set of questions about the proposed code of conduct. I would just like to inquire on how was the new code of conduct revised? How was it essentially, how did it come together with the changes that were made?
Sure. So the policy committee meets regularly, the board policy committee. And actually, as a result of one of your earlier meeting questions, we decided to pull that code of conduct just to see if there was any language that we thought might be objectionable or contrary to law. We really didn't find anything, but we did clean some language up in there, especially names of DASA coordinators and people who had no longer worked for the district, made some minor grammatical edits, and just, change things that maybe were outdated. And
Right.
that's pretty much how all policies are adjusted. We go through policies regularly.
Right. I was wondering more if there was as I had commented a few months ago about a full review of changes since 2013, since the Dear Colleague letter regarding school discipline, and looking up how we've implemented restorative justice practices and removing those from the code of conduct.
Sure, so we have done full reviews of the code of conduct for sure since 2013. I would have to look at the policy, I don't know off the top of my head what those years were. It's where we pulled in the schools and the, again, the principals and the deans and had some conversation about that. I don't believe that we're in conflict with the Dear Colleague letter. I don't think that our language, the Dear Colleague letter, as far as I read it, refers to restorative justice as a DEI measure. That's not how it's referred to in our code of conduct. So I don't think we're in violation. And as you know, schools are governed by state law anyway.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Treasurer's report? No action needed. Approval of minutes for executive session and regular meetings of November 18th, 2025. Motion?
I'll make it a second.
Any discussion? Ms. Conway? Yes. Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay. Presentation to the superintendent.
And ask the board to consider item 1, certificated personnel.
Motion? Second. Any discussion? Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Item 2, non-certificated personnel.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Items 3 and 4 require no action and second readings of revised policies. And I'd ask the board to consider items 5 through 10 together.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I just would like to say a big thank you for the donation for the 40 sweatshirts from Mr. Brian Murphy for our Long Beach varsity football team. And I feel like the past 3 meetings, we have had such generosity from our community members. So
They left the board.
it just shows you how our community members help our schools, and it means a lot. So I'd like to give him a big thank you for that.
Thank you. I echo that,
Okay, yes?
yes,
And I vote yes. Okay. New and old business?
Yeah, I just have a few questions. Actually, Mr. Verona kind of took my question about the bond process, because we've spoken about the bond, and there's a lot of information about it. So, Mr. DeVito, you did give Mr. Verona and all of us a bit of a process already. So, just to reiterate, the first focus from the bond will be to fix our playgrounds. And then, what about the swimming pool? The swimming pool was in the other capital gain.
Yes, that's correct. So the swimming pool,
It's
was
just a
part of the last budget.
Yes.
And, you know, that's already in the works in terms of, we took the measurements of the summer when we had a trade. And we're waiting for approval so that we could start in February. So that's a 6-month process that you'll need to do with the swimming pool, in terms of the pool, the pool deck, the bleachers, and also the gym bleachers. And we really, our goal is to have it up and ready for September of 2026 school year, to do everything with the pool, diving board, you know, everything's really getting done. That's not part of the bond, that was part of what we had used capital project from before, which is great in the sense that we were able to start early on that, because we did have some money in our capital reserve fund to use for that, and that's why that was feasible. You know, every year, if we do have an operating surplus, we put a little bit in the capital reserve fund. It allows us to do things on a gradual basis. But then when you're talking about playgrounds, you're talking about HVAC systems.
Yes.
You know, those are big numbers, and it's not something that we have in the capital reserve, and that's why we had our large-scale district-wide plan. So yeah, playgrounds at first. We will do some elements inside the buildings as well. And we're going to do, I think, because in order to get building aid, you have to do a piece inside as well as outside. So we're going to be doing pieces inside and the playgrounds. That's the first, let's call it phase 1, we're calling it.
What kind of pieces are you gonna do inside?
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that, like doors, windows, ceilings,
Okay.
if you want more specificity, I'd have to look at my notes, but it's more of the basic maintenance things that we know we needed to take care of. Phase 1 is that first summer, right? It's really 8 weeks, coming up that we have. We're gonna try to do as much as we can, because then we have to get ready for school to start. And then there are some longer term projects that we know are gonna be a longer approval, and that's then for phase 2, which would be the second summer. And then that will go on probably also through the school year. We'll have the time to get the approvals and then go out to bid and take care of that. But in terms of the short time frame, considering we got the approval in October, we're gonna do those projects that we know we're gonna get a quick approval on, and we can get started in the summer and finish it by the fall.
When do you think, what about the central air conditioning for the buildings?
That's gonna be phase 2.
That'll be phase 2.
Because we have to, those are longer plans to develop, and it's a longer process to get approval.
Okay, so do you have an aim for that start date?
Phase 2, that'll be summer of 2027.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just have one more question. Our high school offers so many different pathways other than college, Dr. Gallagher. Is there one place listed on our school website, or is there one area of resource that parents can all go to see alternate pathways after high school?
So
Or
our,
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, the clearest articulation is our cross offering booklet. And if you remember the CTE presentation from last time, there was a page I actually lifted right from the booklet. And it shows the pathways for CTE programs, the 4-year pathways. And it kind of lays it out really clearly there. In addition to that, I know the guidance counselors meet with the students and talk, especially if we're introducing a new program like barbering. But the course offering booklet is the go-to place. And it's really, they've worked on it a lot. It's really very clear, and that is posted on our website.
Okay, thank you. I know we offer a lot, and I'm talking to parents and community members, they're like, yes, but where is all of this information? You know, because some children want to go to college, but then there are other children who don't. So parents want to know what other choices they have, what's available, right? They want it simple so they can find it and say, oh, look, you know, Johnny, you can go here, you can go there instead.
Yeah.
Thank
Course
you.
offering.
Thank you, of course, I'll be real quick. And I just want to give a big shout out to Mr. Epstein for a wonderful sports awards night. The auditorium was packed with kids and parents, everyone was excited. There was even a special award given to one of our students for sportsmanship. Because another coach from another school had noticed it. And that really just goes to show how wonderful our sports program is, how much hard work our coaches put into it, how much our hard work Mr. Epstein, and of course our students and our families, because they know sports isn't just about winning, it's about showing good sportsmanship to all. So I thought that was a wonderful highlight. And I am looking forward to all of the concerts that are coming up. So get ready, middle school and all the elementary schools. Yeah, it's a good time now, the high school, it's a good time. All right, well, thank you.
Nothing from me. Thank you, Ann.
Questions and comments from the public?
Edward Verona.
Hello again. I would just like to clarify and expand on some comments I made about code of conduct at our last meeting. And when I use the term progressive discipline can mean a lot of things. It can mean age-appropriate discipline. It can mean incremental discipline in terms of, the first time someone is, a first grader is running in the hallways, we're not going to throw them out of school. And just to clarify my comments, I'm not opposed to that. When I said I'm opposed to progressive discipline, I'm opposed to discipline which is similar to progressive prosecutions, which is this pervasive idea that we are not going to get kids in trouble, that we are not going to enforce our code of conduct, that we are not, unless it's something serious, we're going to let a lot of things fly. And I think that that mentality, which is pervasive in the school district, I think we need to address that. I think the school discipline policy and the code of conduct need to be clearer that when a situation happens, it is documented, it is not just forgotten and ignored, and that there is real consequences to actions. Because you can have the perfect code of conduct, and I do not believe that in its current iteration, the current proposed code of conduct is perfect, but even if you had a perfect code of conduct, if you're not enforcing it and you are letting everything slide, then it's really no use. So I think that the code of conduct, really, we should spend more time reviewing it, more time discussing it, and really looking at how we can properly enforce the rules. I also think that a reading of the code of conduct, which was happening at the last board meeting and it wasn't available until the next day, I think that that's wrong. I don't see the point of a reading and discussion of the proposed policies if it's not available to the public beforehand. And I think in general that there documents that are being discussed, I get we don't want to put it in the agenda, we don't need to print them out, but I think that those documents should be available to the public before the meeting. So like, for example, last week, or 2 weeks ago, we had the proposed audit, which then became the adopted audit, and that, you could post that on the website so that people can see and ask questions about it. And I think that just kind of keeping things in the agenda, keeping things not posted publicly, I think that a lot of other, not just school districts, but local governments, including the city of Long Beach, posts the documents online before the discussion of that meeting. I think that is a practice the school board should consider. Thank you.
Thank you, and I just have to not let go the comment that we let a lot of things slide here, because that absolutely is not true, Mr. Verona. And with all due respect, it's been a long time since you've been in the school district. And I would really have to say that our administration teams and staff do practice progressive discipline in the positive sense that we're not going to suspend a kindergartner running in the hallway, but we certainly suspend for serious offenses, and we certainly really work hard at holding students accountable for their behavior. So I have to disagree with you on that.
I appreciate that. It's not just based on my personal experience, but I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Jackie?
Yes.
Time?
Good evening.
I'm Jackie Odom, I guess everybody know me, and I'm accompanied by Miss Marsha Gray. She's one of the persons on the MLK board. And Miss Sheena Curry is the chairperson of the MLK board. As you notice, she's not with us tonight. She's out of town on business. But we would be remiss if we didn't come here tonight to tell the school board and you, Dr. Gallagher, what a beautiful job that you guys are doing to help us with our children in MLK. Annie, you're a dog. And I guess I was meant to be here because the young man before me were talking about discipline of children. We got a long ways to go. We are here. I'm always around. Everybody knows me, and my heart is children. And it's a lot of things that we might miss that we have to do for our children. It's a long road, and I'm so glad and so happy that I can stand here tonight and thank you guys for coming in, trying to help the MLK Center. And when you help the MLK Center, you help us, you help the parents, you help the children. Just this short time, I can stand here and tell you, we see a difference in the children that is in our after school. I thank you ever so much, and I want to wish every one of you a beautiful and a happy holiday.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you,
Rhodes.
Jackie.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Long Beach Classroom Teachers Association?
Karen Boone, WCTA. Thank you to Mr. Rogers, Mr. Allen, and the students for the great presentation. Thank you, Mr. DeVito. I can't believe we're talking about the budget already. I feel like that just ended. And happy holidays to everybody. Have a great vacation, and I will see you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Group B,
These are my ASDPT. Thank you to Mr. Rogers, Mr. Allen for presenting. And I reiterate, it is a ongoing, ever-going cycle of budget. So thank you, Mr. DeVito's presentation. I also wish everyone a very happy and safe, more importantly, healthy holiday break and happy New Year. Thank you.
anybody here from Group C? Okay, PTA? Nobody. Okay, I also would like to wish everybody a happy and a healthy holiday season. Happy New Year to everybody, and I'm looking forward to all of the concerts coming up. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure I would see you all there. And that's it. Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Happy holidays.
Holidays.